Hey, hello there, and welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Strategy Show Showdown Edition. You know, this is back to what Showdown Thursday Night Football used to be, right? It's two teams kind of struggling. Minnesota forced to throw Carson Wentz under center again. Chargers haven't covered a game since week 2. They don't look right. Offensive lines banged up on both sides of the football. I mean, this is Thursday Night Football. This is what we live for. Anyway, glad to have you guys here. I'm Dave Loughran. That's Chris Spags, who, as always, very excited to be here. What's up, brother?
I'm glad to be here today. I'm actually not excited, just feeling general joy for it. No, it's an interesting slate. You're right. It does feel a little more. We need some color rush jerseys to top it off. I think would be the cherry on top. But a total under 45 points. Two teams that defensively sound enough. Minnesota, I would say, defensively good. For some reason, my dog, by the way, like this happened on NBA Live Before Lock. Every time she's in the studio with me, she has to like jump up next to me and be the exact same area. And it's charming, I think, but this is not productive. This is not it's not the way I want to live my life with my dog having to be my co-pilot on every stream.
Yeah, well, look, they're the best friend, you know, the man's best friend. It's true, but also it can be annoying. Mine is, hold on. Can you not? Hey, Shelby, she's laying on the couch right there. You can see see this brown lump right there.
It looks like pillows, but I could see that being dog. I couldn't see that.
There are pillows behind her. She uses them actually as a head pillow, but she's right there. Mind you, she's 9 now. She'll still go for some nice walks and everything with me, but she's a lot more chill and mellow than she used to be. But anyway, let's get into this good stuff here. Yeah, sorry about being tardy. That was not Spags. I was trying to post some bets to tails before they move. I'm trying to do a solid for you guys. And look, you know, I just get admonished for it, Spags. But
nobody admonishes you. You run things. You're the king of the castle.
I know. Dirty O Loughy taking that post-coffee dump. Nah, dude, that's like 8 o'clock on the dot. You have a small cup of coffee, throw in a nicotine pouch, and you get to work. Let me tell you.
That's our old pal Neil Orfield, because I think he said this on content. I don't think I'm giving anything away, but he used to have to take a dump before every stream, and that would put him behind schedule because he'd get the nervous belly. So
dude, don't get me started on Neil. Neil's the best, but we've had conversations about that. I'm like, Neil, I don't know how you do it, man. But anyway, yeah, fun game today. Glad you guys could join us. If you don't mind, take a single second, atone for your sins this fine morning. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you checked out Josh's strategy show prior to this as well. Crazy game yesterday. Also, look, I got to mention this. Don't worry, not VJ Edgecombe having the most points in an NBA debut since Wilt Chamberlain. No, I will not mention that he had 34-7 in a late win over the Boston Celtics. I will not mention that Tyrese Maxey shot 7 of 8 from 3 with 40 points, and I definitely won't mention that Joel Embiid looks totally washed. I will mention though, this betting scandal. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we had less viewership. Don't you guys do this? You can always go back and watch Kash Patel do his press conference, because the FBI director is discussing how they just arrested multiple people in a betting and poker crime ring, including Terry Rozier, which we kind of saw coming, and head coach and former NBA player of the Blazers, Chauncey Billups. Dude, what is going on?
Well, so he wasn't involved with the sports betting part. It was related, but he was part of a mafia poker ring, which sick. We had Goodfellas on the house recently because Alex, my wife, does some stuff with Apple TV, and she did something with a Scorsese documentary that came out lately. So she's like, I'm going to watch some old movies, I guess. Watch Goodfellas, and it's like, this is straight Goodfellas stuff. He's involved. Chauncey Billups, not the first guy in my brain. I'm like, yep, mafia poker ring. But apparently that's the case. And I never see that for a head coach. Players get involved in weird stuff, but a former player, I guess, but as a head coach, like I don't know, you keep your job. That's really bad decision making as a head coach. Yeah,
the guy has made over $100 million in his NBA career. It's crazy. Yes, correct, Danny P. The fact that Spags and I both have dogs means that, yes, no wives, and we swing in the opposite direction, as you stated. Yes.
The ambiguously gay DFS duo is what we're going to review for the show. We have wives and children, but we have dogs and children, but no wives. We're just hanging out with the kids and the dogs, living a Michael Jackson style lifestyle.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, dude. Sometimes I wish that the dog was the only one in this house. Sometimes I wish that was the case. I love my wife, love my kids, but there are times where you're like, these dogs are pretty easy, aren't they?
Needy though they may be, they are easier than waking up at 6 o'clock for a child for no reason whatsoever.
They're needy, but they're easy, man. All right, unless it's like puppy training, that shit's hell.
Yes,
pure hell. You ready to get into this game? Let's have some fun.
Let's do it.
I got to ask you though at the top before we get into any of this stuff, the injuries today, like I know it might not seem all that pertinent, but to me it kind of is. Like if Darrisaw's out and he popped up on the injury report, you have Joe Alton, you have Trey Pipkins. Why do I mention that? Because Justin Herbert, dude, he's had the third most pressure among any quarterback with 100+ dropbacks. And I don't even count Justin Fields ahead of him. I should, or I shouldn't, like, because if you don't count Fields, it's second most, because Fields is just, I mean, it's been bad, but like that offensive line, almost every week they're missing 60% of the projected line coming into the season, right? Because they lost Slater going into in the preseason. So it's tough. And then you've got the Aaron Jones, who, all right, so he could definitely play. He's questionable, but it's still a short week from when they activate him, like, or open the practice window. I don't know if he's going to play. It's not as cut and dry as we've had many Thursday or primetime slates in the past.
No, I mean, and it's going against a tough Minnesota defense as well. I mean, a team that every Brian Flores team tends to find its way to get pressure, unit that he's coaching. And that's been the case in a huge way for Minnesota. They're blitzing 39% of the time. Pressure rate's at 29%. QB hurry rate is at 13.5%. You're talking about the upper echelon of the league. And, like Loughy mentioned here, it's a lot of pressure coming Herbert's way, much like Justin Fields has seen like a 45% pressure rate. Herbert's at 41. He's handling it well, only a negative 0.25 EPA on those plays. If you're at negative 0.3 or less, like you're actually handling pressure decently. That's a lot of pressure to see and certainly increases the volatility. I don't think people will be super stoked to play the Vikings defense. And, frankly, too, and Loughy, I don't think this is something that's a data point, but Chargers, no real home field advantage. A lot of those Minnesota fans, the Eric Lindquist of the world, they're going to show up to that game, be yelling real loud, and they'll be into it. So it might be like a defensive kind of home environment for a Chargers team that doesn't have a lot of weapons to keep Justin Herbert clean.
I agree. One of the reasons I kind of like the Chargers defense tonight is just Carson Wentz, man. If you watch that Eagles game, now I know there's no Jalen Carter on the D-line for the Chargers, but the Eagles haven't gotten pressure really all season long either. Wentz looked like he was seeing ghosts at some point, didn't he? Did you see how bad some of those throws were in that game? I mean, there were some big mistakes he made. Chargers defense I actually may have or may not have used them for the FanDuel $2 million jackpot today, Spags, on FanDuel Sportsbook, because you got to play that like a lotto, right? You got to play it like a tournament. Where can I go that no one else is going? Where in the event that I win, I don't want to split with 10,000 other people. Chargers defense at plus 650, that may be on tails, is an interesting one. But yeah, you're right. There's no real home field advantage. Both of these teams have struggled to score in the red zone, and both of these teams have played very good red zone defense. So it's just an odd overall game. And we haven't even talked about the wide receivers yet, but when you look at these wide receivers for Minnesota, it is pretty black and white. Like last week, the whole reason we laddered Justin Addison to 100+ was because Quinyon Mitchell's very good, and you assumed that he'd be pretty sticky on Jefferson. Jefferson wasn't terrible at all, and there was one that could have resulted in a touchdown that didn't. But Addison got a lot of work against garbage corners like Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo after Jackson got hurt. This week, though, there's no true shutdown corner for the Chargers, right? So I would assume that Justin Jefferson continues to get a lot of work here, even if it's Carson Wentz. But on the other side, you have three guys that every week are basically getting the same prop line in Quentin Johnston, in Ladd McConkey, and Keenan Allen. And now You want to spice it up even more? Arondé Gadsden. You guys believe me now? This dude's sick. And this guy is now a fourth part of the offense in the passing game. You want to talk about one of the least concentrated offenses in the league. This makes things so tough on a showdown. How do you play this?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think an interesting way to play it is to play the Minnesota defense and hope that you get right, that they do get to Herbert and make it tough on him. But I like the guys all play a good amount as well. It's weird splits because Keenan Allen is getting so many more targets than everybody else. He's targeted 29% of the time that he's running a route out there. He leads the team in targets per game with 9.3. For comparison, we got McConkey at 7.8, Quentin Johnson at 8.3, which still crazy target volume for those guys. 5.6 now for Gadsden, with him ramping up a little bit more. But you also saw last time out that Gadsden played 60 snaps. Ladd McConkey was at 67, I believe. Quentin Johnson at 68. And Keenan Allen only played 49. That's a pretty noticeable split where Keenan Allen's on the field less. But when he's on the field, they're trying to force feed the ball at a higher rate. The trust that Herbert's had for Keenan Allen has certainly been there. So I think these guys are all valid enough plays. Gadsden, I mean, he iced these other tight ends in a way I did not expect. Like they're paying Disley like I think $9 million this year or something. Like they're paying him pretty good money for a tight end, and he's just like a non-factor. Conklin's been entirely iced, and that's a guy they brought in the offseason. So honestly, I don't know. I know Kamani Vidal is also too cheap, and I like the run defense matchup for him, but the receivers, like, it feels like a dice roll because they all have your reasons to like them and reasons to kind of downgrade them, you know, relative to fact Keenan Allen is just like a black hole of targets.
Yes. Vidal's one of my favorite players on the slate, Spags. I mean,
he's so cheap.
Hassan Haskins, he's so cheap. Hassan Haskins is out. And then Naeem Hines or Miller Hines, call him whatever you'd prefer, or whatever he'd prefer. Maybe that's the right thing to do. But did they even elevate him yet? I assume they have to because they don't have anybody else in the backfield.
Yeah, I think the reports were that it's going to be Travion Williams, who was the former Bengals guy that people liked a little bit, or Hines, but Hines was active last week. He played like one snap, I think. So I'd presume.
And then he reverted back to the practice squad.
Yeah, so he went back to practice squad, but if he was active last week, I would think he'd be the first one you move back to active.
You would think so, yeah. Because what is it like? You can only activate someone how many times until they have to stay on the active roster? Is it 3?
I think that's right. Honestly, those rules always they escape my brain, but that sounds.
But
right.
What I'm saying is they probably just expect to get Hampton back probably soon, right? So
hopefully,
I guess he has to miss one more week after next.
But yeah, but then they said it might be because initially they were like, oh, it's going to be 4 weeks, no problem, they'll be right back, and then they're like, it might be closer to 5 to 7.
Jeez.
Which somebody might have to get signed.
And Harris is just done. So
yeah,
damn,
probably forever.
Well, yeah, maybe. But you look at Vidal, and it's hard. I posted a Vidal prop over on Tails, by the way. Go check it out. Links down in the description, or just go to tails.bet. Follow me, Loughy, Loughy. Everything's free all season long. And basketball started now, so we got a ton. You should start posting some basketball stuff over there. People would love that, even if it's like DFS stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm open to it. My people have to be compensated accordingly for any extra work.
But Vidal at $7K, even if it's Travion Williams or Hines, I mean, how much work do we reasonably expect those guys to get? When you saw Vidal in a positive game script 2 weeks ago get 18 carries against the Miami Dolphins, last week he only got 9 carries. But does that actually matter when you were legitimately trailing from the jump? I mean, they were down a ton of points, and Haskins played his typical allotment of snaps that he played the previous week. He only had 1 carry. So you still saw 90% of the running back rushing attempts go to Vidal last week. I don't really know if there's any reason to believe that changes. And yeah, Vidal last week wasn't great, Spags, but do you really expect him to be with the hole that this team dug themselves into early on? I mean, I think he just feels like the clear workhorse until further notice, right?
I mean, yeah, it really comes down to me. Number one, I think he'll be a decent enough PPR play. He's getting 3.3 targets a game, which isn't a crazy amount, but it's 7K. Like that's a pretty decent baseline to work off of. And the fact that we had Haskins playing 25 snaps last week, yeah, maybe Hines, Miller Hines, the Hines Ward, whatever Naheem Hines is going by this week. I think that for him, like he's going to get some snaps more, maybe 10, like I think would be it. But we could be looking at like 50 snaps for Vidal, a guy who's also averaging 5.3 red zone opportunities a game, a 1.7 of which inside the 10-yard line. Like that's legit bell cow work. It spiked a little bit bigger the week before last, but the fact they would kind of just ram him into the red zone that often, I think is a good sign against the Vikings defense that I really think is a lot better in the pass game than the run game. So to me, Vidal, I'm sure he'll be played appropriately. I mean, the ownership looks like 45% in the flex, 10% or more at captain. That's, I think, light. Like I want to be, I think 2/3 of my lineups, at least with Vidal. I think he's a play that has a lot of ways to get there. Yeah, whether the Chargers win, whether the Chargers are competitive and kicking field goals, I think he's got a lot of outs to make a lineup at 7K.
Me too. It certainly feels that way. And you could see you could see 80% of snaps go to Vidal today. I don't think that's crazy at all. So
no, I don't know.
I like him. I don't really know what to do with the Minnesota backfield right now. We have, and I can pull this up on the screen, Spags. I ran the Sims, as we always do here, to give you guys the data, help you out a little bit going into the slate. I don't know what to make of it. I think right now we have Jones out, but anything can change. Let me make sure we have him out.
Yeah, he was out as of the last projection run, I believe.
Yeah, he was. So if he's out, then Jordan Mason still is going to look really good today. I mean, if you have no Jones, Vidal and Mason they're honestly going to be two of my favorite players on the entire slate, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if Aaron Jones is in, I don't know how you pay or feel comfortable paying the Jordan Mason price tag. It's a little bit expensive, and Aaron Jones has, the pass scheme work. He wasn't getting a lot of red zone work, so that might be something where, Mason probably has more upside still at the price tag. But I don't know. I would have a hard time trusting Mason if Jones is coming back in as fresh as he'll ever be. And it's not like Mason's lit the world on fire. I mean, he's been okay, but he's been like, I would say objectively pretty bad in the pass game, only getting targets 12.5% of the time, negative 0.3 EPA on those plays. Aaron Jones, the limited amount that he played, had a 0.65 EPA on pass downs and was better in the run game too. I just think if Jones is healthy, I think he immediately nerfs Mason pretty meaningfully.
Would you play him if he plays? He's 6,600 in the flex on DraftKings.
It's a nice price tag, I think, for him. Yeah, I'd be willing to do it. I think if you have Vidal and Jones, that's a really nice baseline that I think has upside to, at the very least, make it in the flex. I think definitely has captain upside, in particular for Vidal, but for both guys. If that worked out, if Jones were active, I would be willing to take that shot. But, Mason, if you're doing a 150 set, a 20 max, I certainly wouldn't want to take him out entirely because Jones was in.
Cards ate my wallet. Says I think Jones is questionable, but they still have him out on DraftKings. Yeah, because he hasn't been activated from the IR yet. So he's designated to return where they open a practice window, and that happened earlier this week. So I mean, he just may not come off the IR until next week. It's entirely possible.
And also never trust your gambling provider for injury info either. I know Josh beats that drum a lot, but that's never accurate the way that you want it to be.
No, they're just pulling information from like a RotoWire or one of those spots. So always, do your due diligence, as they say in the investing world. But no, as of now, I don't think he has been activated though. I think they're still waiting on that. And if they don't think he's 100%, they might say, we have extended rest. We don't play again. Now they did already have their bye, but they won't play again until the following Sunday. So, it's a possibility that he doesn't play. If he doesn't, though, Spags, I do like Jordan Mason a lot. I just think, this is the type of game where the Chargers have been not necessarily a run funnel, but their pass defense is a lot better than their run defense. Don't look at last week against the Colts, who were just running through everybody. But the Chargers on the ground, I think the Minnesota Vikings will look to get Mason the ball a lot. You look at our flex exposures, it's Herbert, Mason, Wentz, Kamani Vidal. those are the top four. But then if you look at captain, Vidal is second. And I think at that price point, 10-5, that makes a ton of sense. Herbert is number one. I'm fine with that. He can still run. Minnesota tends to limit rushing opportunities for opposing running quarterbacks. I think Hurts ran like once for 2 yards last game or something like that, which was pretty crazy. Where are we coming in on Jefferson? Like, we don't have that much Jefferson, man. 29% at flex. At captain, we have 7%. But then you look at his price point. This dude is almost $18K at captain and almost $12,000 at the flex position. I still want to get the sum of him because he's, one of the best receivers in football. Clearly, we're always saying he's the best, but now you have so many good receivers out there that, like, I just put these guys in the top 5 bucket and let you guys fight it out in the chat. He's that good. He's always capable to absolutely blow up a game. I still want to get at least with the field on Jefferson today.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, frankly, the biggest issue to me is that he's 11.8, Addison's 7,400, and the roles look alarmingly similar on the year. They're both averaging 8.7 targets a game. Obviously, a few less games for Addison with the suspension. Target rate favors Jefferson, 24.6% target per route run compared to 22. But even the yards per route run, it's 2.5 for Jefferson, 2.4 for Addison. Deep targets favor Addison. He's getting 2.3 a game. Jefferson's getting 1.8. Red zone targets favor Addison 2 a game compared to 1.2. Obviously, the talent is, I would say, much bigger for Jefferson. The contract is much bigger for Jefferson. But for right now, these guys are looking a lot more like a one-to-one role. And, the projections, the longer-term sample size, it still favors Jefferson. But if you were just to go off this year, I mean, Addison's been more efficient. He's commanded targets at a comparable rate. He's technically running more routes per game, running 40 a game compared to 35.2 for Jefferson. That might be some of him getting knocked around and leaving the game or whatever. But I just think these guys, like, I agree with you. I don't want to be light on Jefferson ever because I know the talent is so huge, and I don't think the Chargers defense is particularly good. But Addison's been a monster, and it is a zone-heavy matchup too, and Addison does command targets 29% of the time he's running a route versus zone. Jefferson's at 23. It looks like another good Addison spot. So if he's going to get fed like he has been, I think you can just make a case to flatten out Jefferson and Addison a little bit more because they look like very similar guys. Yeah,
totally fair take. I do think going up against Quinyon Mitchell last week is going to make a difference in the sense of, like, he can lock guys. He can erase players. And Jefferson still had 5 for 79. He actually beat Mitchell a couple times. Mitchell didn't shadow him 100% of the time, but I'm not shocked that Addison saw the workload that he did last week. I think your point is well taken, though, when you say, all right, okay, you and I would agree that over the course of the season, Justin Jefferson's still going to be the target leader in Minnesota, right?
Yeah, I would expect him to have wide receiver 1 production relatively.
But the difference is the price point. Like, they are, dude, what are they, $4,400 separated in the flex? That's insane.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty big gap. And, and again, it doesn't, I never love when a play, like, I think this were the play we didn't have just last week where Jefferson got dwarfed in target share and production by Addison. Cause whenever it pairs the box score chase, it's like, cool. Now I'm lumping myself in with like the dumbest quadrant of lineup building. But it's just the underlying numbers are really strong for Addison right now. Even he's getting 13.2 air yards per target. Jefferson's at 12.5. You're talking about similar workloads, slightly more air yards, more red zone work, more downfield work. Addison's role has been really nice, and it doesn't seem to be hurt by having Carson Wentz in either.
No, not at all. Carson Wentz is just not very good, but he's still managing to find ways to get the ball to these guys. I mean, 2 of his 4 starts, he's thrown for over 300 yards. So there's that. I'll take it. Einsteinium, shouldn't Hawkinson eat against zone defense? It's tough. I mean, I look at last week, absolutely no surprise that TJ Hawkinson didn't have a big game. I mean, the Eagles are loaded at the linebacker position, and they do, unlike 4 previous Eagles teams, they do a pretty decent job of taking away tight ends. Now, he still had 6 receptions on 9 targets, but as far as like production goes, it wasn't really there for Hawkinson last week. He is down to 4,800, Spags. Is there a role for Hawkinson today at $4,800 against this Chargers defense?
I mean, I think so. Frankly, I think he's a great anytime touchdown bet. I haven't checked the markets this morning, but the fact that he had the one overturned last week, I feel like it's one of those things where you try to get him a touchdown this week if it's feasible. And the Chargers defense actually has been not great versus tight ends, giving up a 0.56 EPA per target. For comparison, Minnesota's defense giving up a negative 0.5 EPA per target to tight ends. So like pretty meaningful gap between the two. And, Hawkinson's role is solid enough, getting 1.2 red zone opportunities a game. I actually think there's a pretty decent shot you see Hawkinson make it in the flex as well. Really, Hawkinson's cheap. Like I think Hawkinson, we haven't seen the upside be similar. He's only getting 5.5 targets a game, which is about 3 less than both Addison and Jefferson. But we haven't seen a ceiling game from him in a while. And, this could be the spot where I don't think he's going to get played as much as his likelihood of making a winning lineup.
I like him. He's cheap enough. Once I get to a certain price point, it doesn't really matter anymore, right? Like you just play him, you play the price, not the player. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Hobbs says plus 250 anytime touchdown on Hawkinson. There's got to be a better number than that, man. There's got to be a better number. Let's take it over to the Odds Shopper live odds tool and see if there's anybody here, any other books that can give us a better number. TJ Hawkinson. Where's Hawkinson at?
Not a lot.
You're right.
Plus 250 Hard Rock is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Nah, it looks like 250 is the best number. It's okay. Yeah, I don't love it.
Could have been better, but I think people do bet up sometimes that touchdown goes away last week. You feed the guy the next week narrative. Because I always love that narrative too. So that's why I mentioned it. These are pretty juiced lines.
You know what you guys could do? Bet the anytime touchdown on. What were the FanDuel odds? I didn't see it, but FanDuel's got the $2 million jackpot. I bet you not a lot of people go to TJ Hawkinson today. He's been very quiet all season long. This may just be a spot where TJ Hawkinson works out as a good, in that jackpot spot. So consider that if you'd like, or boost them. There's a lot of boosts out there as well. I saw like 100% boost on FanDuel today. So even if it's not the best odds there, you can take that to a really strong number for sure. Make sure you utilize the boosts on all of these sports books, guys. We preach that a lot here. We preach it on Tails. It can take a bad bet and make it a good bet, So make sure you're doing that. Anyway, Spags, I wanted to ask you too, and we'll get into the quarterbacks and all this good stuff as well. But I wanted to ask you where you stood on the defenses today. I actually think both of the defenses are very viable. And I thought this before I ran the Sims. You've got the Vikings, we're getting at 35%. That Brian Flores is going to run a blitz-heavy scheme. We don't know what the offensive line is going to look like for the Chargers. Honestly, if Alton Pipkins don't return, this could be a disastrous situation for them. Or if Alt comes back and gets hurt again, which seemingly happens every single week, this could be disastrous. Like the Vikings defense could clearly get into the end zone. And I feel the exact same way about the Chargers. So this isn't me saying like go out there and just run Chargers and Vikings captain lineups and everything. Although we have 5% Chargers captain, makes me feel good about that FanDuel jackpot bet. 3% Vikings. I'm running 2 uniques as well in my lineups. This is definitely a week where I think this game has like a 43, 44 point total where I could see both defenses being instrumental in having a good week.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I'm fully with you on this. And I love the 15% expected flex ownership for the Vikings D. Whenever you have a team, so we have 2 factors that matter a lot. And it matters more, for a crappy QB in certain situations. But and Herbert's good. I get that. But like we talked about in the beginning of the video, Minnesota blitzes at a really high rate. 39% is one of the highest marks in the league. The pressure rate of 29% they're getting right now, one of the highest marks in the league. And the 41% pressure rate that Herbert is seeing on his own as it is right now without facing teams like the Vikings every week. That's also one of the highest marks in the league. So Herbert acquits himself well. He's only taken sacks 4% of the time. It's not that bad. Again, a negative 0.25 EPA on those plays is really not that bad for a guy who's seeing pressure as much as he is. But the pressure creates volatility. It can create sack opportunities. And also, if you sack Justin Herbert and you take him out of range, you maybe open up the kicker a little bit more. So it should pair pretty well, Vikings D plus Chargers kicker. So I like the way that you put lineups together with that. I think, the Chargers D is also appealing at similar amounts of ownership, just because whenever defenses are underplayed, the total's not that high. It's usually a good time to go to defenses and kickers more. But Vikings D, to me, just the blitz rates, the drop back rate for Herbert, how much they love to pass. It's just the kind of volatility you want for a showdown slate, to try to capture both sides of those outcomes.
I'm with you, man. Hobbs, 68 likes with 400 watching. Smash the like, people. Appreciate you, Hobbs. Thanks, brother. Yeah, take a second, atone for your sins this morning. Hit the thumbs up. This helps us. Comments down below. Also, for those of you guys on the podcast, leaving a rating and a review. I know a lot of you guys, and I appreciate you greatly for this, who use Tails, have gone over to the Tails app in the Apple Store and the App Store and left a rating and a review for that. Thank you, for sure. Like anyone who's not 7 or 70 years old knows that, like, in order to get, discovery and recognition with an app, even if it's really good, like the one we're building with Tails, you definitely need to get the ratings and the reviews up. So, if you're enjoying it, and I think a lot of you are, take a second, even if you only have time to hit their 5-star rating, that would go a long way for us as well. Hobbs plus 550 anytime touchdown for Herbert. I looked at that this morning too. I don't hate it. The Vikings do really prevent quarterbacks from running, though, which isn't all that surprising. But that fella's got some legs, man. He can run. One of the most underrated, capable, let's say, running quarterbacks in the league when it comes to using his legs to escape pressure. So I do like that.
It's down. His rushing's down a little bit. Like, he started the year running more. Now we're down to 3.4 a game. And like you said, I think at the beginning of the video with how Minnesota handled Jalen Hurts, they are giving up a negative 0.2 EPA per QB rush, which anytime it's negative, that means you're pretty good against QBs running because they're inherently pretty efficient plays. Really, both teams here actually shut down QB runs pretty well. So doesn't mean that Herbert can't get in. I agree. Like, he's athletic enough. And with the blitz situation, maybe it gets there. But I think the blitz is creating issues with QBs running. And that's why we didn't see Hurts moving around as much as he normally does.
Yeah. I look at him just as an opportunistic runner, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not running 7-8 times every game. I know he did against Kansas City, but that doesn't surprise me because you need that win. Like, you're in Brazil. You knew that Herbert was going to step up there. But then you have like 1 for 24, 4 for 60, 6 for 31. He kind of is that type of guy that if there's an opportunity, Spags, he can pick up 30 yards on it. And that might be his only rushing attempt of the game. Similar to, like, you see CJ Stroud do that a lot too.
Yeah, Burrow has always been my I guess, of the recent QBs, like, my favorite of that type, where it's like, he's not a guy we think is a great rusher. But, when it's there, he will break the occasional 40-yard play. Now that he's had 7 different leg injuries, it might go away. But I agree, Stroud, similar thing. Herbert, the QBs I think we actually respect the QB play of tend to be those kind of guys.
Yep. Dirty O, Brian O'Neill and Darashaw News. Darashaw News will be massive if they both are in. You can captain Wentz if both are out. Chargers defense. Yeah, honestly, that's a huge deal. I expect O'Neill to play, though. He played last week. He has been practicing. I think he'll be in. Darashaw is a different one. I don't know if he's going to play, and he's one of the best, linemen in the league. So that's a big deal. Chauncey Billups hanging out. That's odd. How did he get access to a phone? What's going on, guys? Keep up the great work. Your work helps my lineups daily. Thanks. I thought he only tuned into your poker stream, Spags, but here he is watching DFS content from a holding cell.
I think this is the same guy doing this bit, because on the Live Before Lock stream yesterday with Greg, there was a Malik Beasley account. So this guy is just creating various NBA player fake, which, more power to him. It could be Chauncey Billups. I think he might be too busy to watch the stream this morning, if I had to guess.
If nothing else, this fella has committed to the bit. We'll give him that much.
Yes. A little crazy, but what? Hey, maybe the good kind of crazy, we hope.
Sure. Yeah. Wouldn't want to meet him in person, but kind of funny. All right. Any flex options we haven't talked about? I know there are more than just a couple, but some of the ones that stand out, because Herbert and Wentz, to me, they both make sense in the flex here. Now at captain, we get more Herbert, we get less Wentz. I also agree with that. Herbert's more expensive, but not by a massive amount. He's what, $1,400 more in the flex, like $2,000 more a captain. Herbert to me just has more upside, a higher ceiling in this spot. At least that's how it feels. I'm always willing to play a guy like Herbert. He's got unlimited weapons at his disposal. Again, yeah, Dirty O mentioned Darrisaw and O'Neal. Joe Alton Pipkins to me is just as, if not more relevant, just as, let's say it's just as important in a game like this. You brought up some great points. Herbert has actually performed relatively well under pressure. He hasn't been nearly as bad as like a Tua Tagovailoa under pressure, who's just, well, he said it, he can't see over the line. That's why he doesn't target Jalen Waddle, which is possibly the most insane statement a quarterback could ever make to the media. I don't know if you saw that yesterday.
I did.
I mean, just terrible stuff, man.
He's not doing a great job. He's not his media
on
training.
The field or off the field.
That is not paying enough people, I guess, is probably what they're doing for his media training. They're just like, go figure it out there. You're good.
It's so bad, man. But I like Herbert over Wentz, but I'm never going to ignore the fact that Wentz 9K flat, which is not a bad spot. If you have a healthy enough offensive line, even going up against a pretty quality secondary that has really only been beat up once this year, and that was last week by the Colts, Wentz still has Addison. He still has Jefferson. He still has Hawkinson. He still has a lot of weapons himself, guys that can create separation, that can get open downfield. It's not like you're going into a game and saying, all right, so we're banking on Dylan Gabriel, hitting Jerry Jeudy or Harold Fannin Jr. This is very different, whether you love Wentz or you hate Wentz or you're indifferent like I am.
Yeah, I think Wentz is honestly pretty Flacco adjacent this year, where it's just two guys that are standing back in the pocket, just messing up a little bit more than they should, I think, at their stage of things, but they don't have a whole lot left. The accuracy could definitely be better, and I think people think they're more accurate than they are. But, Wentz is hanging in there. He's got 8 air yards per target, a little bit more than that. He's taking 4.8 deep shots a game. Like, he's getting the ball downfield. He's had a lot of air yards. It's part of what's leading to him creating these 300-yard passing days that feel like they shouldn't occur. And like you said, the talent's pretty big, and Hawkinson hasn't been great, but that's another viable top 3 receiver there. Frankly, wouldn't shock me if Wentz hit it at captain today. I think that they're set up better here, no matter who's in or out, than the Chargers, where I think it's a tough scene for how they're going to get pressured over and over again today.
You know what? I think you're right. It wouldn't shock me if Wentz was captain. He's not going to be my preferred captain. And no. I think you would agree. Like, he's neither of our guys that we're just like, all right, jam Wentz at captain. But at his price point, it makes sense. You know what else Wentz can do? There's going to be some games where Wentz has like 30 rushing yards, and he can add a few points there as well. So, he's another guy that's just kind of opportunistic. He's never going to be the same as he was pre-ACL injury against the Rams in the Super Bowl winning year. Like, Spags, maybe you don't remember this. If you lived in Pennsylvania at the time, which you didn't, you would have known because you would have heard about it everywhere, but you are a football guy, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Some of you guys in chat, you can let me know if you remember this as well. Do you remember the game, Carson Wentz, it was the Super Bowl winning year, against the Washington Commanders? It was a primetime game. And he got swallowed up by the entirety of the Washington D-line. I'm talking like 4 or 5 guys surrounded him. And the broadcast, I forget who the play-by-play guy was at the time, and he's like, and they get Wentz for the set. Oh, there he goes. And he pops out from the bottom and runs for like 40 yards. He was swallowed up to the point where all you could see were Redskins jerseys. Don't say a thing. They were the Redskins at the time. And then he just pops out. He did that all the time. Like, he was very, very mobile. And that is what gave him kind of that electric style of play. Teams used to have to account for Carson Wentz in the run game.
Yeah, and I actually remember the knee injury because I actually remember where I was. I was at a bar watching that game with somebody who's an Eagles fan at the time, and it was one of those things where it was a tough injury. There are a lot of Eagles fans in LA in general, and a depressed bar was what happened the moment he went down. But he was having a really special year, and I think he would have probably won him a Super Bowl the same way Foles did. Like, he was playing out of his mind that, in a way, now he's just mostly a statue. He can still move a little bit, but the knee injuries have sapped freakish athleticism, I would say, at that stage of his career.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, he ran 4 for 28 last game. He actually had a couple really nice runs, one for 16 yards. But yes, he's more just statuesque at this point. Can he get you 20? Sure. He's not like Kirk Cousins style statue. Even Aaron Rodgers can run once in a while. So I needed to ask you about how sick was that designed run on like 3rd or 4th down from Joe Flacco on Thursday night?
Because nobody expects it. I do think that's fun when they do that, where it's like, Stafford sometimes runs like that. Rodgers, who you mentioned, they sometimes do it where it's like they just don't expect the guy to run anymore. And it's like, well, at that point, it's so open that you kind of have to keep the defense honest. And not that it'll change a game plan to see Joe Flacco run occasionally, but I like it. I mean, I've said it before, like I like when you play it flag football style at QB. That's the most appealing kind of QB play. And when they leave you room to run in flag football, you should take it. I look like Barry Sanders sometimes playing a QB, and I'll tell you what, Loughy, I'm not Barry Sanders, even though I may look like it. I am not Barry Sanders.
That's odd. I always thought you were Barry Sanders, but no, it's one of those things where you just got to have it in your back pocket and you use it maybe like twice a season, because if you use it all the time, everyone's just ready for it. But it was a sick play. That was the best game of the year for sure. But anyway, we're on the same page with a lot of these guys. The ones we haven't discussed yet, and we're going to do that in just a second, are the value plays. But we still have the 20% off code going for NBA All Access or NBA Monthly. Nice little winners. How about this to kick off the season? How about Tyler? Great start to the season. Does this count as top 3 since it's 3rd best unique lineup? No, but it's still $15,000, man. Just phenomenal stuff there, rocking the avatar. And then you have Michael. Thanks for all the videos. Sims Tools had my first big win. There we go. First place in the end one. These are just NBA, by the way. We had a 2,500 in the mini max. Chuck, back-to-back mini max wins. That's crazy to start the season. Thanks to Stokastic and Josh Engelman for the solid analysis. Let's not forget about football here either, right? Little $50,000 win from Squirrel. Said he's been watching old Loughy here since the Fantasy Insiders Day back in 2014. And a bunch of other wins. I love seeing some of these small stakes players. By the way, links in the description. Get 20% off any monthly and NBA package, core or max. If you're someone that already has access to NFL, you're watching this show, and you want all access, just email us, support@stokastic.com. And what we'll do is we will upgrade you to all access to get both and all of the other included sports, core or max, whichever you choose. And of course, if you rock the Stokastic avatar, you get a larger discount on top of that, but you'll get the 20% off. So there's a big way to do that there. And of course, Spags, I tell people all the time, because I don't think there is a better or easier way to get access to the Sims and to the tools for people who are low stakes players. And they are not currently in a position, maybe financially, or just wanting to spend the money on monthly subs. If you use the link in the description that says sign up with our partners to get DFS tools for free, and just follow these steps, these 4 simple steps, 10, 15-minute total process, man. Sign up with any of these by clicking claim offer. Like Onyx is in 40 plus states. You have pick'em sites for those of you guys in non-legal betting states. If you sign up this way, you're getting the Sims for free. You're making a $5 or $10 minimum deposit on any of these books or pick'em sites that are available to you using claim offer here. You're placing a bet or a lineup on the pick'em sites. The moment it settles, all you do is send us an email at support@stokastic.com with the screenshots of your welcome email and your first settled bet. Just follow those steps. It's one of these things that I stress all the time, Spags, because there's a lot of low stakes players out there who just love DFS. They haven't hit a big one yet, right? They're just looking to play DFS because they love it, but they want tools. They're just not in a situation right now to maybe afford them, which makes sense. This is a way to do it for literally $5 or $10, and every single one of these sportsbook signups equals an additional month of the Sims. You can free roll for up to like 12 months.
Yeah, and it's like the free trial mechanism. I know people always love that, but these tools, frankly, are too valuable for it. But this way you get a month to get in there. And as I've said countless times for like NFL, really is important to wrap your head around it. Like NBA, similar things as well. But just to get how Sims work, to understand that you don't always have to fade the chalk, especially for the main slates. Like it's really a lot of important lessons that you have by just being able to see a sim and play with it yourself, more than just seeing it here on screen, that I think a lot of people playing DFS can use. And being able to do it for free and get also some bonuses on the various sites on there is a pretty good deal.
Hell yeah, man. So check it out, 20% off or the all access, email us, or just get it for $5 or $10 with a sign up and get your bonus bets and match deposits over on those books. All the links down there in the description of this video, whether you're on desktop, iPad, phone, whatever it may be, find them the same way. All right. My favorite part of the show, every time you and I do this, is to simply talk about some value options. And each and every week, we usually have some that pop out. I feel like we have a lot less this week. And one of the reasons is because so many teams have relatively concentrated offenses where you go, well, if it's not going to the guy with the 30 or the 20% or even the 15% target share, these guys could get involved. You know, if it's not going to this running back, these guys could get involved. This is a little different today because while they're not concentrated in the sense that like the Rams have a concentrated offense, we saw Nakua go down and then Adams just promptly scores 3 touchdowns because Stafford locks on to his guys, you know, or with the Eagles, it's like, oh yeah, maybe Dotson will get an opportunity here or there, or a healthy Calcaterra. But with the Chargers, it's like they spread it around, but you know who they're spreading it around to. Similarly with the Vikings, unless you want to talk about the Jalen Nailors of this world or like a Josh Oliver. So if you wanted to go cheap, where do you actually go to the low-owned cheap guys on this game? I think it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, nobody came up above 10% for me amongst the players that cost $3,500 or less. The nailer / defense tier seems to be where most of the ownership is going. And like, I didn't realize this, but Adam Thielen is like totally iced now. He played 8 snaps last week. Naylor played 40. Thielen, I thought, had a little bit of life left. Maybe it was just the Carolina offense and having to force feed targets him and the beauty of volume having to go to a guy. But he's got nothing. He's barely playing. He's so cheap on the slate. Maybe he gets clicked a little bit more because people know the name. But he's only coming up 2% in the sim. Xavier Scott with a Z. He's coming in a little bit at 6.7%, but the field's at 7. So that's really just holding hands. And this is assuming that Aaron Jones isn't in as well. If Aaron Jones is in, I don't see how you'd touch Xavier Scott. I guess Naheem Miller-Hines is like the most credible play at $200. He and Scott Matlock are, you know, 2 guys that could, I guess, get a target and pull away from Vidal a little. But it's awful. Like Darius Davis, I feel like Showdown, he's always kind of in play, but he's also not really involved because you have 4 primary pass catchers for the Chargers now. So you kind of have to get there on a return, I would think, for Darius Davis. I hate all of it. It's really, there's no value that stands out, and that means I'm sure one of them will hit and be completely unplayed.
Scott Matlock. No, I'm not laughing at you.
I know he's got a target. I get it. I get it.
Yo, by the way, do you have DraftKings open by any chance?
I do over here. Yeah.
Can you pull up his headshot? Okay. Just put a face to a name, please. Scott Matlock.
Oh, that is not what I expected.
No.
Or should I screen share over to you? Here, hold on. Let me see if I can show this for you.
Yeah, I was going to
pull it up for you. Here we go.
Awesome. Yeah, screen share it. That is fantastic. And then zoom in on it to his. I'll add it to the stage for you. Hold on. Here we go.
Here,
Dude, zoom in on old Scott Matlock there. Look at Scotty Matlock. That is
ginger.
Crazy. Yeah. Mega ginger. And he's actually embraced like the Kyle Bravlovsky haircut from South Park. Like the legitimate carrot top. Oh my God, that's so good.
Well, that's the Gen Z broccoli hair now. So that's what, you know, he's making it work for him. But you're right. That is Kyle Bravlovsky pure fro, and the beard. I mean, it's nicely maintained beard, looking fresh. This is the kind of guy you can get behind. This is the kind of guy now. He does look like a creative player. People are saying, like very creative player vibes.
Dude, it's awesome. I mean, it looks like he's got a 3 around the sides and then just full out, like with no fade, right? Oh no, there is a skin fade that goes straight to like a 3 and then straight broccoli top.
Yeah, you just know this guy is a problem. Like this is a guy that's drawing dicks on people's faces. He's got a lot going on here that I like him. I play him 10% play, lock him in.
If Scotty Matlock scores today, by the way, Spags, he's 6'4", 295.
Say, what's the anytime TD? Sorry, I'm going to go to another tab.
Oh my God. Yeah. Hold on a second. Do we need to bet this on principle? You should bet the FanDuel jackpot, please. I think the minimum is like 10 cents or something. I already bet it, so I can't. You should bet the Scott Matlock FanDuel jack. If you win that, no joke, you might win you might just get $1 million to yourself. He's plus 5,500 on FanDuel to score.
That's honestly, I'm glad he's got odds. That's actually exciting to hear.
Look at this. 5,500 Scott Matlock.
That's hilarious.
I may put $10 on Scott Matlock today. I think I'm going to have to do it. You know what? I will.
There you go. Put it on tails. That's the kind of bet you want on your record. Scott Matlock at TD.
No, hold on a second. No, that's the type of bet you want on your record if it wins. For sure.
But, and people are going to be like, Loughy, how'd you land this bet? Well,
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. How'd you land on this bet? Have you seen the guy? Oh, man. All right. Dude, when I saw that, I take it aback. Tiffany, thank you for the super chat as always. Going to do a shameless lineup where the core is Fisk, Johnson, kicker, and Scott Matlock. No, she didn't say Matlock. For no other reason, it's funny to read back. Fisk, Johnson, Dick. Yeah, I suppose it is. Can you rearrange them to make it like, nah, that wouldn't work. Matlock, Ginger can go into the lineup too. There you go. Love this show. Thanks, Tiffany. What was the old NBA one where it was like Gay Cousins when it was Rudy Gay? What?
The Grady Dick ones?
No,
where
not
he was
Grady
doing the
Dick. This was back to, no, that was great. There was another one that they got in trouble for. Who's the guy on Orlando? Oh, it was Anthony Black and Grady Dick. And
yes.
I think you can put the pieces together there. No, but where people it was like Rudy Gay, DeMarcus Cousins, Love, might have been like Gay Cousins Love or something like that. I can't remember. But
so that's kind of bit Scott Matlock would love.
What's that?
It's the kind of bit that Scott Matlock would love. He
would love that. Scott Matlock would love that. Anything. Scott Matlock probably created that when he was in high school. That's right. Anyway, you would agree though that like value's there, but it's basically just spray and pray, sprinkle these guys.
Yeah. I mean, nobody stands out other than Scott Matlock at this point. He's too much of a meme. He's our Patrick Laird. My pal Pete Overs that made Patrick Laird. I would love to know more about Scott Matlock in the same way.
Me too.
Yeah, none of these guys look that good. Roll the dice. The defenses and Jalen Naylor though are credible plays, and they're a little bit more expensive than these dumpster dive guys. I may, after the show, turn ChatGPT in deep research mode and just say, "Tell me everything you know about Scott Matlock." And it's going to tell you everything about Matlock, the TV show, because there's nothing out there about Scott Matlock.
You're right. What if there is? Like, what if there's lore? That'd be pretty sweet. Anyway, yeah, Nyheim Hines probably just by default, I'll get to some of him at $200. I actually think that makes sense. It's ugly, but it makes sense. I'll probably get to a little Josh Oliver because the amount of look, guys, Thursday night football means obscure tight end touchdowns. It just happens all the time. It just happens. Josh, but I'm saying that, tongue in cheek, but also Josh Oliver always gets a couple every year. I think he already has one this year.
Well, especially in a week 2 where people are probably going to play Hawkinson. I think if I think something, a lot of people playing these lineups today are going to do that. Hawkinson getting the TD called back last week, being real pissed about it because it wasn't live. It was in the review. I think, and the market too, saying Hawkinson pretty aggressive for an anytime TD. We're not at plus 100 odds or anything, but pretty aggressive for Hawkinson lines. So whenever people feel like they might play Hawkinson a little bit much, you got a Josh Oliver, you get some leverage there if he does catch that TD.
By the way, Oliver has scored twice this season.
Yeah. I mean, he's out there to block, and then it makes sense that they use that then for a play action kind of situation.
Yep. Both with Wentz, by the way. Yeah. Oliver's viable. 2,400. He's fine. Anything else? Any other players we didn't hit on yet that you want to before we try and build one out in the single lineup sims and get out of here for the day?
No, I mean, I think we've literally at least said the name of every player on the slate. Trey Harris. Now we've covered them all.
All right. All right. So I want to build out one in the single lineup sim, probably Captain Scott Matlock here, and then just work.
You can play anything if you Captain Scott Matlock.
Anything. Wait, we didn't have any exposure to Matlock, did we?
I got 2.7% with 25% to first and no uniques, and Naheem Miller-Hines at 3.3. So I think the Sims are viewing Hines and Matlock as 1-to-1 kind of plays.
I have 1.3%. All right,
there we go.
Cool. Yo, what position is Scott Matlock designated?
I presume running back, because I think he's a fullback.
All right. Is he? He's a fullback and a D end. Dude, I swear to God.
He also says he's 6'4", 295.
That's what I said. I mentioned that a second ago. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. Wow. That's the kind of guy that could score us a touchdown on a Thursday night football slate.
You do realize Scott Matlock is scoring tonight.
I'm gonna play him a little bit. Like if I'm getting him in the sim at 2%, I'll play some Scott Matlock. I don't know if a Millie Maker Scott Matlock. Maybe that's what makes it unique.
So like I had football guys pulled up, and Scott Matlock is listed as a defensive tackle.
He's honestly, I'm going through his Google image. He's got big tats. He looks like a lineman. He's number 99.
Yeah, dude. He absolutely looks like, it's just the most absurd thing I've ever seen. This guy is fantastic. All right, let's build one out. And in all seriousness, I want to start it with Vidal at captain and see where we can go here, Spags.
I like that. It opens up a lot. Nice price tag for him. Yeah.
Yep. And for any of you guys who are using the Sims, don't forget you have access to the single lineup Sims too. The top stacks tool, the single lineup sim, peer contest, post contest, late swap tool, which is massive, and not only massive, but it is critical for NBA. Also can be helpful for NFL as well. We've had some weird injury reporting and late breaking news recently. So if you're playing a lot of lineups, I certainly use it. Also, I will point this out. I was going to ignore it, but somebody said, somebody said that we are, where is this? That we are scamming people. I'm bringing this up because it's just absurd. That we are scamming. Where is it? All right. Here you go. Y'all scamming people with them signups. How you gonna say to help out people that don't have the money, but you got to spend $5 or more for each offer? Dude, I mean, if you're playing DFS, there's no other offers out there for any sites that allow you to get the tools for a month for like $5 or $10. I'm just letting you guys know it's a pretty great deal. We are still a business, by the way.
And also, like, you are paying money to gamble, so it's not like, everything. The fact there's anything approaching free, like, whatever. I get people get mad about stuff. People need to redirect their.
Well, dude, I don't take this stuff personally. I just wanted to point out that it's actually for people who are low stakes players. So many of these people have gone on to use the tools and had amazing results with them, and if you don't, it's like at the end of the day, you spent $5 and they match it on the books and the pick'em sites anyway, or $10. So that's just a good offer. Anyway, let's throw Vidal up there. You mentioned that it was the first thing you mentioned on this show. He's just a great value. Who do you want to go next here? And what style of build do we want to go with?
So if we put Vidal at captain, I'm not sure that we can get my Vikings D play to make sense, but unless we want to try to build more contrarian, I'm just not sure the sim will love it. But I would put in Vikings D. I feel like if we're going to say the run game has success, I'm cool with the concept that Vikings D maybe did something to impede Herbert or got production off of him in some way. So I would say Vikings D with Vidal captain.
All right, let's do it. And Greg, love seeing this, man. Greg said he won $500 after signing up on one of those books. Hell yeah. Love it, man. Love seeing these type of stories. All right, Chargers, D, you said?
Vikings, sorry. So I don't know if the sim's going to reward us for that because it does feel like we're kind of going against the structure normally, but I just like Vikings D to get sacks and be able to make it today, I hope.
Sure. I am gonna plug Herbert in here.
Okay.
We have plenty of room to work with, so why not? We still have 8,400 per player remaining.
All right, so we got to spend a little money here. I think I like Addison as a play. I think people may box score chase him a little bit too much. Actually, no, we should put in a Chargers guy if you're putting in Herbert.
Yeah.
All right, let's not play Jefferson then. Let's go see who's got the best matchup. Players out wide going to be more efficient, but they funnel targets to the slot. Let's go Ladd. Ladd does feel a little bit cheap, 7,600.
Highly inefficient last week, but 15 targets. And I know that Herbert threw a lot, but I mean, Ladd's clearly still involved. I'm with you here. Let's do it. And all these guys are basically the same price. So this is where I think we got to get someone from Minnesota in there. I'm going to go Jordan Mason. I mean, I like this a lot. Now, we have Vidal at captain. This is a somewhat chalky lineup. I don't think that's lost on either of us. We have $8,900 remaining. Let me go into show affordable players. We could set this on 10% randomness and complete it, Spags, or you could give me the final guy you like here.
I mean, I think it's going to give you Addison, and I would say Addison. So, but let's use the randomness to complete it.
Maybe this isn't that. You're right. No, Allen.
No, Keenan Allen.
Maybe this isn't chalky because we also have Vikings defense, so maybe it's not chalky.
Yeah, I think it's going to be less chalky. There we go. 56% is not bad. Less chalky, but I think a play-by-play sim probably downgrades you a little bit for having Vikings D in there.
Awesome. Hell yeah, Mark. I signed up through one of the offers a few weeks ago and paid off 2 months worth of subs within the first week. Hell yeah. Love it. That's a good lineup. Not a lot of people are going to want to go Vikings defense with that many Chargers, but you know what? It's possible that the Vikings have one defensive touchdown and it doesn't matter. So I'm all about it. Spags, appreciate you as always, man. This was a fun one. Tell everyone where they can find you. Of course, you can follow me at Loughy_D on Twitter if you like football, and go hit me up over on Tails. Going to have a lot of free bets posted for tonight's games. We got a lot of NBA bets flowing in and a lot of DFS content for free over there on top of that. What about you, dude?
Check out, if you want another showdown video from me, I'll be going live on my @SplashPlay pod channel at 12 p.m. Eastern. And if you want some NBA from me, I'm not going to be on Stokastic's NBA shows today, but I will be on my @SplashPlay bets channel at 2 p.m. So every day for me, you're getting NFL content, you're getting NBA content, and and hopefully I'll add some value off you. Hopefully my brain doesn't bleed out from having to do the two sports at once. I know, it's heroic how I do it, but somebody's got it, right?
It is impressive. Doing two sports at once is not impressive. Doing two sports well at once is impressive, right? And I know you do that. It's true, though. It's true. Like, you have a lot of people out there who are like 3 sport analysts, overlapping. How much time can you truly put into that stuff when it comes to 3 sports? But with 2, I know you spend many hours a day doing that. So I appreciate you coming in here and, like basketball started, but you didn't miss a step, brother. So,
we got Scott Matlock, man. I mean, how we're only on the way up. NBA people taking some attention away, but we're getting the gems here. We have not had a Scott Matlock in 7 weeks before this.
It's the best. See you guys back here on Scott Matlock night. Enjoy it. We will see you tonight live before a lock, heading up to this one, and then Greg and I's strategy show tomorrow. Of course, NBA live before a lock and deeper dive as well. Have a good rest of the day, my friends. Bye.